So for this one, I had to sit down. I was gonna stand up, but I was like, no, I need to sit down for this one. How to deal with a death of a loved one. The very first one I have is that, number one, understand that God understands your pain and feels exactly what you feel. So the magnitude of your sadness, the magnitude of your anger, the magnitude of your pain, the magnitude of your pain, right? God feels it and understand it. So your sadness and you crying and you feeling like this is just too much and you can't believe it, God feels that same feeling you're feeling, and he feels for you. And he hurts that you're hurting. And he hurts that you're going through that. But you guys already know, if we go back to the biblical days, you guys know what happened with Adam and Eve. So you guys know a little bit about that. If you guys want me to go over what happened with that, I can as well. But in this video, I'm not going to do that because I want to focus on the points. But God knows, and God did not want there to be death. But it was out of his control. Adam and Eve, that whole situation is why death is now current on this earth. Okay? So understand that God can feel every little thing you can. And he's going to be by your side. But unfortunately, we can't stop death. We can't. Number two, realize that after you lose the person that you love, the first 5 years is going to be the hardest years of your life. Usually you think that the first 5 years are going to be the easiest of your life. And then, as time passes, everything gets easier. No, the first 5 years is going to be very hard. Most definitely, let's say if this person is someone that you spend a lot of time with, talk to all the time, do everything with, your everything, like this person, you were really involved in their life and they were really involved in your life, right? You're going to have to adjust to not seeing them. No phone calls, no dinners, no hanging out, no conversations. And I'm getting emotional even thinking this for you. You have to adjust to that. You wake up and you knowing like, look, I can't hear this person's voice anymore. I'm not going to hear this person's voice anymore, because you guys all know what death is, right? Death is final. It's final. Once it happened like that, it's done. It's done. And it hurts. I hurt even having to tell you this, but there's nothing I can do. All I can do is just give you these tips and just hope that when you apply it to your life, it brings you some clarity and it helps you get through it. And once you get through those first 5 years, even the first 2, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You're going to see the death in another perspective. You're going to look at it in a beautiful way. You're going to find ways to look at it in a positive way. But just know when it first happened, even the 5 years, that's recent. 5 years is recent. So it's going to be difficult. Number 3, don't have guilt. Guilt can kill you. Guilt can eat you alive. Guilt can stay with you every single day, every moment of the day, every second of the day, every hour of the day, every year, all day, every day. Guilt can stick to you like glue. Don't. Everything you did for that person that you lost was enough. Your love for that person was enough. Your encouragement to that person was enough. Your hugs, your kisses, any little thing you did for that person is enough. And I'm thinking of my friend Michael that died. I was talking to him, and he would have seizures. And when he has seizures, he would text me and tell me like, hey, I feel like I'm not going to wake up. I said, hey, you need to go and be admitted in the hospital and have them figure out what's going on with you. And so I told him like, that's scary, right? So one day I didn't hear from him, and we talked like every day. So I didn't hear from him, and then I was like, what's going on? So I went on his Facebook and I seen that he died, right? So I met him at work, and me just walking up to him and complimenting him and starting a conversation with him. He told me, he's like, look, like, girl, I feel like I knew you forever. Like, you are just a beautiful human being. Like, I don't even know how you found me. Like, and it was beautiful, but it was that time. So even though I had a short time with him and I went to his housewarming, bought him a gift, talked to him all the time, that means a lot to me, because even though he was here for that short amount of time, I was able to show him love and be a good friend. Be a good friend to him for those few months that I had with him. Okay? So I have number 4. Don't rethink the day or the time before the death occurred. So if you're with this person the day before this person died, right? Or even talk to them hours, moments before. Don't rethink it. Don't replay it. Don't think, okay, this is what happened. Maybe I should have did this. Why didn't I do this? Maybe I should have did this. Don't do that, because you're going to drive yourself crazy. Everything you did was enough. Don't rethink it. Rethinking it, what is that going to do? You're going to drive yourself insane. You're going to drive yourself crazy, because no matter what, you can't go back and change that time. Don't rethink it. Everything you did was enough. It was enough. Okay? Leave it at that. It was enough. That's it. Then I have number 5. Don't isolate yourself. It's so easy to get so depressed to where you don't talk to nobody. You don't eat. You don't sleep. You don't go out to outings. You don't do anything because you're depressed. Don't isolate. If you have somebody that want to be there for you, let them. Even if you don't want to, allow them. This is the worst time to isolate. Don't isolate. Don't isolate. Talk, even if it's just you sitting there with somebody you love and y'all just not even saying nothing. That's better than nothing. Don't isolate. At this point in time, you need everybody more than ever right now. And let them be there for you. Number 6, know that you will change forever. You may change for the good, or you may change for the bad. You have to keep an eye on that. The death of this loved one may make you be a better person. The death of this loved one may make you be not a good person. So it can take you in any direction. It's 50-50. So you have to be mindful of your actions, of how it's affecting you, of your behavior, your moods. You have to keep eye on that. And you have to monitor yourself, because after you losing somebody like that, death is not normal. Well, I guess it is normal, but it's traumatic to go through. It's traumatic. I don't care what nobody says. It's traumatic to go through it. So you just have to be mindful. If it does change you, just understand that you just went through something traumatic and huge. And you took a huge hit, a huge loss. So some changes are going to happen, but just be aware. Then I have number 7. Tell people around you, don't take it personal. You may say something that may offend somebody. You may make somebody mad. Someone may not understand where you're coming from. Some people may think you're tripping. Some people may think you're acting odd. Tell them, don't take it personal. You just went through something that was out of your control. So you're feeling all type of different emotions. So different things are going to come out. But you just have to let them know and tell them, don't take nothing personal. Number 8, life is going to feel surreal. Even years down the line, you may still feel like you're in a dream. You may still feel like, and wait, like, when is this person going to come back? When am I going to talk to this person? You still may have moments where you be like, dang, like, I wonder, like, when is he or she are going to call me? Or it's going to feel surreal. It may feel surreal forever, but you have to know it's not going to feel real. Okay? So it's going to feel surreal, and it may be for a while, but just prepare. Number 9. This one's big. This was big. So listen. I said, number 9, recognize triggers. So any little thing. Let's say if the person you lost, you hear their favorite song, you see their favorite food, you're watching their favorite movie. The season, let's say they passed away on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's coming up and you're on edge and you're like, what the heck is wrong with me? I'm starting to get agitated. Birthdays, you're starting to feel depressed. You look up, you're like, what day is it? You realize it's their birthday, it's their death anniversary. Even a certain smell, if they wear a certain type of cologne, perfume, or if they had like a certain scent, recognize triggers. Recognize those triggers because they're gonna happen. Recognize those triggers, certain songs, recognize triggers. And when you recognize those triggers, be prepared to be able to handle that and recognize and feel yourself like, today's the death anniversary, or wow, like, or let's say if you're eating Chinese food and Chinese food is the person that you lost, their favorite food is Chinese food, and you notice you start getting just mad for no reason, or you just start crying. Realize, yo, okay, they love Chinese food. You know, like, you gotta notice triggers. Notice triggers, and when they happen, know it's okay. Just recognize the trigger and voice it. Okay, this triggered me. Now let me regroup. Let me take a step back. Let me breathe. Let me rethink. Let me calm down. When my dad first died, like, his pots and pans and everything of his items, I was really possessive over it. So if my friends will use a certain cup, use a certain dish, I will spaz. I'm like, don't use that pot. Put it back. Put it back. Don't use it. Where'd you get that? Don't use that seasoning. Don't use it. And they'd be like, what the heck's going on? And then, you know, I let them know, like, hey, like, you know, everything in here, my dad loved to cook. You know, my dad loved to cook. My dad used these pots and pans. He touched them with his hands. He touched these seasonings. They mean a lot. You gotta, you just be aware. So that's for example, or even like my uncle loved this song, Turn You Out by Tyrese. So every time I hear that song, or if I hear this song by, it's called, what is it? Do or Die, Wish I Could Fly. I don't know what it is about that song, but it makes me think about my uncle. And that Tyrese song, Turn You Out, was my uncle's favorite song. So if it's on my playlist and it comes on, sometimes I hurry up and change the song. Or sometimes I just listen to the song. So you just have to know your triggers. Or even with my cousin that died, he was in the military. When I see or hear different military stuff, it's triggering sometimes because it makes me think of him. Or I have his picture like in my car when I, you know, the little, like, the mirror, when you pull it down and I see his picture, and I love to see his picture, but sometimes, you know, it bothers me. I love my cousin. Even when my husband comes in the house and he's wearing like a military uniform, sometimes I get sad. And I'm like, why am I getting sad? Because my cousin was in the military. And I love my cousin. I talk to my cousin all the time. My cousin, you got that one cousin that match your crazy. And my cousin, we got each other. He matched my crazy. And then I have number 10, get help. Counseling. Go to church. You know, join a grieving group. Whatever you can, get help. Whatever help you need. If you need to go and you need to, you know, maybe get depression pills, or and I'm not for pills. God delivered me for that. But like, even if you feel like you need to have anxiety medication, like anything you need for you to feel like you need to get through this patch, this rough patch, do it. Get the help. There's nothing wrong with getting help. I wish I knew that, because I was like, I'm a G. I don't need help. I did. You know, I need guidance, counseling, all that stuff. So realize if you need help, get it. There's nothing wrong with it. Then I have a bonus one, right? This bonus one is that the death of the loved one, turn it into something positive. So like, for example, like my dad and a lot of my family members died from gun violence. I want to volunteer and do different things that have to do with gun violence. Or like my dad was paralyzed. So I want to open up a foundation for people that are paralyzed. So if they can't afford the equipment, I can provide them the equipment. I can provide them with, you know, services that teaches their loved ones how to care for someone that has that's a paraplegic. Sorry if I'm saying it weird. Or how to care and get the resources for somebody that's paralyzed. So that's something that I always want to do. So you can turn it into something positive. Or like, let's say if the person that you love, if they're really into, let's see, like riding motorcycles, you can join a motorcycle club. Or if they're really into like collecting things or recording or video, like there's so many different things you can do to keep them and their spirit alive. So many different things you can do. So even though this is horrible, turn it into something positive. Like my friend, I told you guys my friend Michael, and I'm saying his name because he loves some attention, baby. So I'm gonna give it to him and I'm gonna shout his name out. My friend Michael, he loved traveling. He loved living. He loved being around, he loved being around people, and he loved working, and he wanted to live. So him being like that, I told myself, I'm like, look, this year I'm going to go on as many vacations as I possibly can. I'm going to go to as many outings as I can. I'm going to go out. I'm going to have parties, be around my friends. I'm going to live as much as I can, because looking at that man right there, seeing how much he wanted to live and how much he loved working and loved making money and loved looking nice. And also, he was always smelling good and he was always looking good. And I was like, you walk better than me. Like, oh my gosh, your confidence. That really helped me to work on my grooming skills, work on me, walking out the house looking like something. That helped me, and everything that I'm doing is keeping his spirit alive. So turn something so devastating into something positive. Even when you don't even see nothing positive in it. Even when you're like, this is so messed up, man, why? We're never going to know the why. But try your best to turn it into positive. And even right now, if you want to stay on that negative slope for a minute, it's okay to stay on it for a little bit, but don't stay on it forever. Okay? Don't stay on it forever. Don't. Give yourself some time. Then you will know, okay, it's time for me to turn this around. It's time for me to really pick myself up and move forward.